Dianmu hit Guangdong province on Thursday before moving to Hainan province, where a relentless rainstorm raged for 5 days, causing 1 death and leaving at least 2 people missing. More than 780,000 people were relocated and over 800 houses destroyed. The direct economic losses are estimated to be over 1.1 billion yuan. Local authorities are in the midst of helping residents to recover from the damage that's been caused.
Oh, there's the tornado! Holy Here it is!
Officials say catastrophic floods in eastern and central India have killed at least 40 people. Hundreds of thousands of others have been evacuated from their homes. The Ganges River and its tributaries have risen to above the danger levels in several states. Days of heavy rain are to blame for the disaster. In the state of Bihar, authorities have evacuated 600,000 people. The Indian military is on alert because more rain is in the forecast over the next 2 days.
Have you heard about this parasite that's killing tens of thousands of fish in the Yellowstone River in Montana? It's pretty scary stuff. Close to 200-mile stretch of that river has now been closed to fishing, rafting, and other activities, and the closures could remain in effect for months. Experts are trying to stop this parasite from spreading, and it apparently causes kidney disease in the fish. But the really good news is that the parasite poses no danger to humans, okay? So far, it appears that mountain whitefish are affected the most, but there are some reports that rainbow and Yellowstone cutthroat trout might be affected as well.
It's a measure that's not been seen since the end of the Cold War. People in Germany are set to be told to stockpile food and water in case there's an attack or catastrophe in the country. The Interior Ministry has not commented on the exact content of the plans, which were revealed by a newspaper, but says a civil defence strategy is due to be discussed on Wednesday. The article quoted the government document as saying that everyone will need a 10-day supply of food and 5 days' worth of water. The proposed precautions have got a comical response on social media, with some likening the stockpiling of supplies to that of hamsters filling their cheeks. Germany is currently on high alert after 2 Islamist attacks and a shooting rampage.
Where those deadly, devastating floods have killed at least 13 people. Thousands are still in shelters there this morning. And President Obama is under fire for not cutting short his vacation and visiting the state. ABC's John Carl joins us now. John, what are critics saying and how is the White House responding?
Robin, the president's facing some tough criticism from those in Louisiana who don't like the images of him playing golf in Martha's Vineyard while their state deals with the devastating impact, deadly impact of those floods. The Advocate newspaper in Baton Rouge is saying he should pack his bags and get to the state, saying it's time for President Obama to visit the most anguished state in the union. Last month, as torrential rains brought death, destruction, and misery to Louisiana, the president continued his vacation in Martha's Vineyard, a playground for the posh and well-connected. Now, Robin, as you know, no president really goes on vacation. The White House points out he's been getting regular briefings on this. He's dispatched his Homeland Security Secretary and the FEMA director to the state and offered any assistance the administration can offer.
I know the locals there are very happy with the FEMA response, but they are questioning about President Obama.
In Denham Springs, as the water recedes and the ground becomes more visible, an unforeseen circumstance. Because in Louisiana the water table is so high, cemeteries don't bury the dead deep into the ground. As you can see, caskets have been displaced. Loved ones now nowhere to be found.
And it's not just one. Somebody need to get out here and do something quick.
It's anything but an ordinary sight in Plainview Cemetery. Willie Brooks struggles to find the right words. The floodwater overturning vaults containing caskets.
I'm sorry. This is crazy.
In some cases, only empty outlines of graves remain.
It's impossible to fix this, correctly.
Willie says his grandmother's body is one of the missing.
We have no idea of even knowing where to start to even try to It's going to just boil down. They're going to just start closing them up and putting them wherever.
Other families checking the grounds, hoping to find their loved ones still in place, only find an unbearable mess.
It's a disaster, man. All our kids, our family just in the woods out there.
It's just bad.
It's sad.
And bad and sad.
Mother's Day come, Father's Day come.
You can't even come to, see people. You don't even know where they're at.
Rescue teams are now using cadaver dogs to search for the dead and the missing. But officials tell me adding bodies from cemeteries to the mix will further complicate the situation.
Target is making some major changes after implementing a policy that allows transgender people to use the bathroom of their choice. The retailer says it will spend $20 million to add private, single-stall bathrooms to its stores. Conservative groups had threatened to boycott the retailer over that policy.
Our top story tonight, teachers at Carlos Rey Elementary School are in a tough situation. They were told by their assistant principal to stop calling their students boys and girls.
It seems school administrators decided to take the new transgender bathroom policy for APS a step further. And this is the first example we are seeing of something that started as a bathroom issue, now expanding into daily life in the classroom. So we took the new policy to people on both sides of the issue tonight.
Here's the letter sent to teachers at Carlos Rey Elementary this month. It's titled Gender Identity Procedural Directive. It basically says starting this month, teachers can no longer refer to their students as boys and girls, telling them to eliminate gender in their classrooms. Well, as you can imagine, it incites a passionate reaction from both sides.
This is outlandish. This just makes no sense at all.
Reverend Adelius D. Stitt has been regularly attending the APS board meetings. He is pleading with board members to listen to parents before allowing transgender students to use the bathroom of the gender they identify with. The district has said it will comply with that federal order, and this is the first school year we're seeing it in action. Stitt says this letter from an assistant principal proves the APS directive has just caused confusion in how to correctly implement it.
She or he is now exercising what they believe. It's their spin on the directive. They are confused. Obviously, when you tell a teacher, don't call a boy and don't call a girl, this is confusion. But we can call them coyotes, students, engineers. They can't even spell engineer. We can call them scientists, but we can't call them boys or girls. This is ridiculous.
But Adrian Lawyer with the Transgender Resource Center believes this assistant principal was actually trying to do the right thing.
What the principal was trying to say is, let's think about how we address students and all of the gendered language that we use all day, every day, and whether or not we really have to do that.
Lawyer says that kind of policy would have taken a lot of the daily suffering out of his childhood, growing up as a girl who knew in his heart he was a boy.
For some young people, that's a really painful experience every day to be referred to as the wrong gender.
The district says this was a complete mistake on the assistant principal's part, and they said she was immediately addressing that overreach. APS says nowhere in their transgender policy does it say to not call students boys and girls. However, people we know at that school tell us they were told to continue with that policy.
Iraq has hanged 36 ISIL militants over the mass killing of at least 1,700 government soldiers at a camp north of Baghdad 2 years ago. This is the highest number of militants executed in one day by the Iraqi government since 2014. Local media said the executions took place at a prison in the southern Iraqi city of Nasiriyah. The government had been under pressure to execute ISIL fighters after the extremist group claimed responsibility for a massive bombing in the shopping districts in Baghdad that killed at least 324 people last month.
Dorothea's son Sol was 10 years old when another boy, also from an ethnic minority background, racially abused him.
Yeah, these are the Skype messages, the screenshots.
His mother believes the school didn't deal with the case strongly enough because neither of the boys were white.
This, to me, is a safeguarding issue. My son was in their care and he was harmed and abused whilst in the care of the school. Everyone was just wanting to brush it aside, and it's institutional racism.
Brixton, South London, a melting pot of different ethnicities. But in 1981, the area experienced rioting with 3 days of violent clashes between protesters and the Metropolitan Police. High unemployment and a lack of opportunities among the area's black community were blamed. Today, Brixton's undergone rapid gentrification, but many here feel the underlying issues of race and class still linger.
From what you see and what you read, seems to be, it's there, it's there.
There's nothing equal about Britain at all. I don't believe there is, and I'm black.
If you're black or an ethnic minority in Britain, it can often feel like you're living in an alternative reality to the country's white population, that the same opportunities aren't afforded to you, and that you are something of a stranger in a country that is meant to be home. And now a report that seems to prove what many people here have known for a very long time, that inequality is still very much part of British society.
The report says racism is the motivation for 82% of hate crimes recorded in England and Wales. It says black people are twice as likely to be murdered than white people. Ethnic minorities are more likely to get university degrees, but are then paid less than white people with the same qualification. And the report argues minorities are vastly underrepresented in positions of power, making up less than 6% of members of parliament, judges and police officers. The chief architect of the report is urging the government to take immediate action.
The overall picture is very worrying. We have made huge progress in some areas, but if you look across the piece in relation to the way in which people lead their lives, whether it's health, whether it's work, whether it's being part of the criminal justice system, that the picture presents black minority ethnic people and certain other groups like gypsies and travellers as second-class citizens.
The report says the country's more divided than ever, with systematic unfairness, institutional racism and entrenched inequality, raising questions over whether the lofty ambitions of a fair, colourblind society can ever truly be realised.
This is where local residents were gathering for a wedding party on Saturday night. The celebrations were short-lived. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says the suicide attacker is believed to be a teenager.
As you know, yesterday at a wedding ceremony in Sahambi in Gaziantep, there were initially 94 wounded as a result of a 12 to 14-year-old suicide bomber either detonating their explosives or being detonated.
Some breaking news from overnight. The United States and South Korea have started joint military drills overseas.
This despite a warning from North Korea over those very same drills. Fox 4 anchor Kelly Dame joins us live in the newsroom with more. Kelly.
Good morning to you guys. North Korea is now threatening to launch nuclear strikes in response to the joint military drills that it calls an invasion rehearsal. The U.S. says the warning is not unusual. However, it comes at a time of high tension. The United States is planning to place a high-tech missile system in South Korea. North's military said in a statement this morning that it will turn Seoul and Washington into, quote, a heap of ashes if they show any signs of aggression toward the North's territory. Today's drills will last for 12 days. The joint operation is largely computer-simulated war games.